Hey man, what it is? This is Dean, and I am your host, and y'all already know what this is. This is by any means. There go the Cash App. If your heart tells you to do so, I don't care if you send 50 cents, $1, $2, $3, $500, $1,000. It's much appreciated, and I want to say thank you for all the support that a lot of you have been showing me and commenting and telling me your thoughts and your perspective. Thank you. Bob Arum gotta go, yo. Bob Arum is hurting the sport of boxing, and it's unfair to all of us as fight fans. It is unfair to the boxers for not getting their career pushed in the proper fashion, in the proper manner. And I really think that is a detriment to the sport that we all love. We sit up here and argue all the time and go on panels and say this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, it's these promoters, these sanctioning bodies, and the fighters sometimes also that is holding up a lot of fights unnecessarily. When there is enough money for everybody to eat, if only everybody in the sport could understand their position, where a fighter that they may be promoting, if he's the A side or the B side, and be willing to accept that and still make deals based off of that. Bob Arum is holding even the lightweight division up. Bob Arum is holding the light heavyweight division up. He's not even willing to make a fight when it comes to Dmitry Bivol and Beterbiev, and we all know that that is a fight that we want to see. The light heavyweight division doesn't have too many fights that we want to see, and he's holding up a major fight that could be a main event on a lot of cards, and definitely a co-main on a major card, maybe the biggest card of next year. I would love to see that being a co-main, but you know why you would never see it is because Bob Arum is not going to allow it to happen. And that is unfair to Beterbiev, who is 38 years old. He almost about to be 40 years old. That is unfair to Dmitry Bivol, who's 33 years old and still who's never fully got all his credit for beating Canelo. It hasn't pushed his career forward any more than it was prior to him beating him. And I think that's unfair to him also. So at least give these men a shot to go be undisputed and go do what they got to do instead of your guy. You just understand that he don't have 3 belts and he's not the A side, so we're not going to make that fight happen. And that is what's holding boxing up. And it's unfair for us getting the fights that we want to see. Gervonta Davis and Lomachenko with Shakur Stevenson. He made a fight with George Kambosos and Lomachenko, but not willing to make a fight with Gervonta Davis, when I guarantee whatever that fight generates will be more than it'll be less than what Gervonta Davis and Lomachenko could do. But you know why he's not going to do that? Because he wants all the rights. Lomachenko and these guys, they let them bully them. They let them get the upper hand. They let them take the bag. They're not as business savvy, but the people that actually know the business, I don't understand why a boxer who has a name would be with Bob Arum when you understand what his stipulations is. Now, is he willing to bend? Is he doing Lomachenko like he's doing everybody else? Probably not. But it still misses my whole point, because my point is, we know he wants all the rights to the fight. We know that Bob Arum wants most of the money for the pay-per-view. We know that you got to sell an X amount of pay-per-views before he even start counting what the fighter should get. And a lot of that's unfair to the fighters because nobody's coming to see Bob Arum. Now, we understand that you got to put insurance on the place, and you got to get the venue, and you got to get people to pay for the ring, and you got to pay the judges, and then we understand all of these things. But that's still no excuse not to make the fight, because you are more willing to work with other promotional companies when your fighter is the A side. And that's what's unfair. So Bob really got to go. You'll rather put on a fight with George Kambosos and Lomachenko, a fight none of us really want to see or care about, but since it's going to make you a lot of money because you're going to get the biggest percentage off of it, it is okay. And that is not okay. Shakur Stevenson has been saying that he really wants to fight Gervonta Davis. He's looking forward to that fight. That's what he want to do. As soon as he had that interview, Bob Arum walked up right behind him. Shakur Stevenson is standing right next to Bob Arum in this interview. And Bob said, we don't have to go over there to PBC. We don't have to go over there and talk to them. They could come over here if they want to make a fight with Gervonta Davis. I'm not making them fight with Gervonta Davis if they're not willing to come over here. We all know that Bob or Shakur Stevenson is in no position to tell Gervonta Davis that if we all want to fight us, you got to come to ESPN and Top Rank. We all know that is not happening. So when y'all keep asking why Gervonta's not fighting Lomachenko, why he not fighting Shakur, is because Bob Arum has told y'all that at least Bob, and then y'all just skip over it. Bob is the promoter, not something that it was reported that he said, not something that somebody said that he said. Actually, what he said, I saw this with my own eyes. What he said, that's how he thinks. And y'all think that y'all can go on people commenting or arguing points and sit up there and try to dispute what that man said publicly. Bob admitted it. He's too old to play games. I'm not making that fight happen because I'm not going to get the majority split. And they're not coming over here. And we're not going over there to give them the majority split of however that's going to go. So what I'll do is big up Shakur Stevenson, make him a big enough A-side one day to where as though I have more room to go to Gervonta Davis, or at least to get a bigger percentage than I think that I know I would get right now. And that is unfair to Shakur Stevenson because look at his last fight. Shakur Stevenson needs a Gervonta Davis fight right now where his popularity is at. And I'm still a fan of Shakur Stevenson, still will be. I don't just jump off bandwagons once a guy, because he didn't lose or anything like that. It just wasn't the best performance. That is okay. That's still my guy. But it doesn't change the fact that they put him on a Thursday. No, let me take a sip. Take a sip of my little, my sauce. It doesn't change the fact that he fought on a Thursday. It doesn't change the fact that it wasn't a lot of interest behind the fight. It was more interest after the fight than it was before, and that's the sad part, all because of how Shakur Stevenson performed. If you Shakur Stevenson, y'all, and I'm asking you an honest question. Let me take another sip. If you Shakur Stevenson, wouldn't you want the Tank fight right now, especially with everything that's going on? Because if I beat Tank, all that other stuff go out the window. I'm 26 years old. I know Shakur Stevenson looks like a kid. Shakur Stevenson is not a child. Shakur Stevenson and David Benavidez, to put things in perspective, is the same age. Shakur Stevenson is older than David Morrell, just to put things in perspective for you. Shakur Stevenson is older than Devin Haney. So he deserves to be able to get the fight that he wants. And we all know that Bob is admitting that he's the reason that is not happening. Right. And if I'm Shakur, I would have just been like, Bob, like, bro, this is what I talk about these guys. They could go on Twitter and talk to everybody else, but you can't go in the office and talk to Bob. Like, why you say that on camera? No, you need to make the fight with me and Gervonta happen. I don't care about us not, like, we know we got to go over there, because even Shakur has admitted he knows Tank is the A-side. He already understands that point. That's why I do have a lot of respect for Shakur Stevenson, because he reeled a lot of stuff back that he was saying about Tank and started moving in the proper way. And I'm not sure, I think it was Leonard Ellaby that said, Shakur Stevenson is going about getting the fight the right way. And he is. So if Shakur wants to do it, Bob, allow him to do it. He's not going to never be the A-side to Gervonta Davis, not anytime soon. Do you understand how much he would have to prove to become the A-side to a Gervonta Davis? But Shakur don't deserve to be put on the sideline like that. Not right after his that performance. Lomachenko just lost to Devin Haney. You don't think that Lomachenko will want to fight Tank Davis over George Kambosos? I don't think that Lomachenko is a coward. I don't think that Lomachenko is scared to fight Gervonta or any of that. I've never questioned Lomachenko's heart. I truly believe if Bob would say, would you rather fight Gervonta or George Kambosos, but you can have one of the fights, I guarantee you, at Lomachenko being 34, 35 years old, he's going to take that Gervonta Davis fight. He has no reason to not to at this point of his career. He has zero reason not to want to fight Gervonta at this point of his career. Shakur Stevenson, after that performance, has zero reasons why he wouldn't want to fight Gervonta Davis after that performance. But Bob has came on here and told y'all and has admitted that he is not willing to make these fights. And everybody just swept that under the rug and still attacked Gervonta. Everybody swept that under the rug and still attacked Gervonta. Everybody swept under the rug that Devin said he'll fight him at 135 a week actually, before his fight. We just swept all that stuff under the rug. Bob Arum is not good for the sport. He's holding up Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson. He's holding up Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis. He is holding up Arthur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. He is holding up a lot of great fights in this sport that we want to see, but all because he's so stubborn and want things to be done his way and think that he's been in this sport longer than any of the rest of them. He don't have to do things their way, is what's holding this sport up. And unfortunately, it's sad. So shout out to Arthur Beterbiev. Shout out to Dmitry Bivol. Because could y'all imagine this card that we are getting tonight? Could y'all imagine this card that we are getting tonight? That if Dmitry Bivol and Arthur Beterbiev was the main event of this fight, of this card, with all the other fights we have on here, that would have really blew it through the roof. But guys just don't want to make stuff happen. And it's really the promoters, and it's sad because boxing, we can't get boxing back to where we want boxing with these promoters doing these type of things that they be doing, especially Bob Arum. Y'all know what this is, man. There go the Cash App. I appreciate all y'all who show me support, who hit the like button, the new subscribers. I want to say, man, I appreciate all y'all, man, for rocking with me, telling me, Deem, I don't even know how this came across my feed, but I liked it, and I had to rock with you. I appreciate that, y'all. Get with me. Deem by any means. I holla at y'all.